Welcome to this follow-up screencast to improving the delicious bookmark button with jQuery. Be sure to watch that screencast first to familiarize yourself with where we are in the project. In this episode, we'll be building on what we started there. Feel free to download the source code below this video on screencasts.org. Sometimes it's nice to show how many times a page has been bookmarked. Delicious has provided an API for developers to get a range of information from its service. The API URL we'll be using is feeds.delicious.com/v2/json/urlinfo/urlmd5, where urlmd5 is the MD5 digest of the URL you want information on. We're going to use a feature of HTML5 called Custom Data Attributes. HTML5 allows us to decorate our HTML elements with supporting data. A data attribute is defined by writing data followed by the name of the data you want to store. In our case, we want to create a data attribute data-md5-url. The value of this attribute can be generated on the server side using Ruby or PHP, just like we did with the URL-encoded URLs and titles. In Ruby on Rails, we could make a helper like this. Then in the view, we'd add this. Or in PHP, it would look like this. If you want the MD5s for these two URLs and you don't have access to server-side scripting, they're available in the show notes. So let's copy and paste the two MD5 hashes of the URLs into the data-md5-url attribute. Now that we've got those, let's now use jQuery to iterate over the links and submit an AJAX request for each link. To access the data attributes in jQuery, all you need to call is data with the name of your attribute minus the data dash. So in our example, we need data passing in md5-url. Now, let's paste the URL from the Delicious API, prepend it to the MD5 of the URL, and cache it as a variable named URL. We'll also add a callback parameter and pass in the name of the function that we want to pass the JSON data to. Let's call this function updateDelicious. Next, let's add the AJAX call with the data type of JSONP, since this is JSON with padding and is cross-domain. We're almost there now. Next, we need to implement the updateDelicious function. We need to know what the data will look like when it gets returned from the Delicious API. So the Delicious API returns an array of key value pairs, or hashes. From what we've seen, you'll only have one entry in the array. When you pass in an MD5 of a URL that hasn't been bookmarked, you get an empty array. So first, we need to check the data size to make sure it's larger than 0. So, if data.length does not equal 0, then we need to update our count for each link. In the JSON we get back, you'll notice that we have the MD5 hash along with total posts. So we're going to have multiple AJAX requests coming in, and we need to know how to match each link with its count. To do this, we can use jQuery's attribute equals selector to match the hash returned from the Delicious API to the data-md5-url. So we need to use the hash data@index0.hash and then try and find it in the anchor with the data-md5-url of that MD5 hash. Then we append the data@index0.totalPosts to the link. So when we open the page in our browser now, we can see the count appearing at the end of our bookmark link. And that's it! We're going to be covering more APIs for various web services and social networks in upcoming episodes, so be sure to check back soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our RSS feed, follow us on Twitter, and please leave any comments, questions, or suggestions for new screencasts in the comments below. If you like our videos and think your friends, followers, or colleagues would benefit from seeing them, please feel free to share via any of the links below the video. We really appreciate your support. See you next time!